This is a story that I've been waiting to cover for a very long time. It's been going on for the better part of a month, but I kind of wanted to wait for all the facts to come out. And it involves somebody that I kind of like at the end of the day. Not anybody who's reporting on it, and I think that they're just basic ambulance chasers, but if they're going to be doing good work, we might as well talk about that. But no, the completionist, okay? It's somebody who I've actually met in person on a couple of different occasions, and I've tried valiantly, and if anybody can point me in the right direction, that would be fantastic, because back at SGC, Screw Attack Gaming Convention in 2013, 10 years ago is when I first met Jirard, because he held a panel. It was his first ever panel. It was his first ever public appearance, at least under the Completionist moniker. And him and his boys, that was back when Greg was still very much with the Completionist, and Alex is his name, but yeah, they had a panel that was down there, and they also had like a little raffle, because it was a much more interactive panel than most other simple, Q&A sessions, or here's our topic and we're going to opine about this, okay? It was a come down and play video games, complete a challenge or something like that, and at the end of it, you'd end up winning a prize or something like that. And yeah, he ended up going through crowd, and I remember the room being, reasonably packed. But long story short, guess who ended up winning that panel back in 2013? Hi! Unfortunately, the video has been scrubbed from the internet, even with all the old archives on archive.org of all of the other, literally every single other one, even like the minute-long little clips that he used to have from back in the cut from when he previously got rid of all of the Greg-related content prior to 2015. That's the only one, and it's like an hour long. I had it saved in my favorites. The only thing I didn't do was fucking download it, so now I feel like an asshole. So yeah, I've met the Completionist before, and I, like many people in this situation, have been scammed by the Completionist, because guess what? I never received any prize or anything, even though he said that he would, and then he promised the follow-up year. I'm not mad at him or anything like that. Frankly, I just think that it was kind of funny to throw on top of that. So I'm patient zero of the Completionist scamming. But I joke. Jirard's a great guy. He was hilarious. He was really, he was a really solid person to meet in public. And that's what everybody else who has ever met him always had to say about him. But the bloom started to come off the rose when he, signed up with the whole G4 debacle, the little reboot that couldn't. That ended up lasting for one singular year. But I didn't hold that against him, because that was something, if you were a regular consumer of the completionist type content, that was something that he wanted to do for a very long time. So the fact that he just ended up being up there on the stage when Frost decided to melt down and kill the company, it was one of those things that you could go ahead and dismiss. And then seemingly out of the blue, about a month ago, Karl Jobst, who I'm not familiar with, and some ordinary gamers, Mutahar, who I just recently became more aware of thanks to his involvement with exposing how terrible XQC's content was. But thanks, at the end of the day, I don't think we really needed like a multi-part documentary about how bad XQC was. We could just simply not watch his content, or just endlessly on a loop play Andrew Tate just roasting that stutterin', mutterin' prick from Quebec. Nothing good ever comes out of French Canada. Ugh. No. Both, yeah. Karl and Mutahar combined their powers in order to go in on the Completionist. Now, what specifically were they trying to target? Well, Jirard had been running a charity for a while, okay? Not entirely sure how long he had the Open Hand Foundation, which sounds a little bit too close to George Soros's Open Societies Foundation, but whatever. Again, like, this is all just coincidental stuff that, you could have explained away, but in doing some research into what's going on with the charity itself, realized that, okay, over the course of, a certain amount of time, his charity, at least the one that he was being a front of, okay, he was more the pitch man as opposed to, dilly-dallying around with the day-to-day operations, but they had raised through several charities, through several I'm sorry, not several charities, but through several different events in excess of $600,000. And all of those earnings were supposed to be going towards an Alzheimer's charity or something like that in order to figure out, dementia-related diseases, because unfortunately his mother a few years ago had passed away from that, and, his family have been dealing with stuff like that for a very long time. So it's a cause very near and dear to his heart. And, good for him for taking the initiative to start up something like that and helping other people's families so they don't have to go through a similar tragedy. It all seems well and good, right? Until you take a look at the charity and you realize that $600,000 wasn't doing anything, and it hadn't done anything. It had never been distributed. It had never been moved at all prior to the probing. Now, I thought at the end of last week, everything was all copacetic. It was all said and done because there was a smaller medical facility, I do believe in East Pennsylvania or something like that ended up getting a $600,000 donation from the Open Hand charity, and it's all said and done. There were some other questions to play over the top of that, but for the most part, okay, after a little bit of prodding, the money ended up getting distributed. There were a couple of hokey explanations saying that no, it had to be, like $1 million before it could end up getting disseminated, or oh no, we're just kind of bogged down in paperwork, a pandemic, and it's like, okay, just a whole bunch of explanations, or rather a whole bunch of excuses and no coherent explanations. Can we get to the bottom of this? And well, we got an answer to that, and it's not great, okay? So as much as I like the Completionist as a person, as a content creator, I think he does incredibly good work. Hell, the fucking premise of his show is incredibly taxing, and good on him. He's done it for north of a decade, and he's continuing to go strong. And this is the first time in a long time that somebody has come along and completely and totally broken through the public perception of him just being a rather affable guy. Even with the Greg situation from back in the day, I thought most people ended up taking Jirard's side on that one because, well, in retrospect, and now with a newly acquired lens to put over the top of that, you can kind of see that Greg was being henpecked by his wife, and he was just kind of a bitch-made beta. But that's hindsight being 2020. Most people ended up taking Jirard's side because with the ludicrous claim of get rid of all of the content that I'm featured in on your channel, otherwise I'm gonna sue you. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, those are all my videos. Okay, I don't know if you want to cut going forward. We could work on something like that, but okay. And without very little prompting, without any legal intervention, Jirard took everything down, and yeah, he weathered that storm and he continued to move on into the future. But this snag right here ended up being something a little bit more than a snag. So enough preamble out of the way. Holy shit, I've been talking for a while. But anyways, YouTuber The Completionist is a creator known for making gaming content where he always completes the game no matter what. But some fans recently realized that his personal philosophy doesn't seem to apply to his other ventures, including his charity work. Here's how a team of YouTubers discovered that The Completionist was withholding several $100,000 in charity collections, despite not appearing to spend any of it. Yeah, so it's not like he took any of it, okay? It's just, it was sitting there. Like, the fuck? It's just sitting there. It's like, are you putting it all into a high interest savings account and then just, and then just skimming off the top? Or like, the fuck is going on here? But it's all there. It's not like you stole it, even though there was some early speculation, and we'll get into that as well. But yeah, why is it just sitting there? It makes no sense. So on November 13th, 2023, YouTubers Mutahar and Karl Jobst, the same people that I introduced to begin with, uploaded videos on their respective YouTube channels expressing their concerns about a charity called Open Hands, run by the Completionist Jirard Khalil. Jobs notes that the foundation's tax filings show they received significant contributions each year. Yeah, he would run a charity stream or charity event, multiple, that we'd end up finding out about a little bit later along the progression of this quote-unquote scandal. But yes, of course, that would be where the big contributions would come from, okay? With the money being deposited into a stockpile of over $600,000. For the past 10 years, I've raised over $600,000, and it's all just sitting in a bank account despite Open Hands saying the money goes to help fund research, and despite the fact that everyone believes their money is going to a worthwhile cause. This is simply not the case, Jobst states. Mutahar of Some Ordinary Gamers uploaded a similar video on the same day. Obviously, there's a reason that I wanted to use the Know Your Meme, for as weird as that is, Know Your Meme page, because it has all of the source documents, videos, all the relevant information aggregated into one simple feed. So if you'd like to watch everybody's original videos on the subject, feel free to do as much. Both Mutahar and Jobst asked the foundation for answers and received a response from Jirard Khalil, Jirard's brother, who is, well, he's not taking things well, to be completely honest, and shout out to Camelot for this one, but oh no. Jirard's brother is having a meltdown on the Completionist Reddit. Yeah, I kind of seen some of this and doing some research and trying to find the old video, but okay. Calling everyone sheep and implying he is suing Karl and Muta. No, this family is, yeah, not exactly on the level. I've never met his brother, but I know that he was handling the business side of the Completionist, or that one video gamer, so yeah, him going down like this. Are you a lawyer? Not Jirard. Anyone they mention? Who said Jirard is going to be the one that sues? Sheep. Okay, yeah, like, oh God, yeah. Not going great. That's definitely not what you want to do, especially if you know this is going to be going to court or something like that. But okay, claiming that the foundation had distributed some money before it's officially registered. However, there's no record of any disbursement of funds. Yeah, because if it was raised under the idea that this was all going to be charitable donations, then people would have been receiving receipts for taxable purposes. So yeah, there would be a very easy money trail to follow when it comes to, well, all the money that's there. So you can make those accusations, but it's very easy to prove any of that. And well, you know, these people are very thorough. Okay, as for Jirard Khalil himself, he claims to have been unaware about the foundation laying dormant until 2021 and has since been looking for the right foundation to send the money to. Jobst continued, Jirard assures us that they still have the full amount of money and are looking to donate it as soon as possible. However, due to open hands past dishonesty, I don't really know about dishonesty, that's kind of reading into it, okay? I think we do need concrete proof of this donation when it happens, which did end up coming along. It ended up showing up at the end of last week. Jokes about the Completionist supposedly scamming his fans in this bizarre fashion began to spread online after news broke, with internet users finding humor in the juxtaposition between the news and his online persona. The fans simply expressed sadness at hearing news about the YouTuber they liked turning out to be scummy. Yeah, but I didn't want to really jump on this stuff, and not because I met the guy before. Fuck, it's been over 10 years since I've had, like, any interactions with him, okay? But it's like, okay, cool. He has a charity. The money's sitting there. He hasn't stolen it, okay? Like, it seems a little bit odd that he's waiting to distribute it, but I don't know, was he waiting for like a big Publishers Clearinghouse sized check where he could just show up with 7 digits on it? And it's like, okay, it's a little bit weird, but if the money eventually goes to a charity, I don't really know. Okay, cool. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, as everybody had their theories about this when it first popped off, because Jobst and Mutahar have their how should we put this? Their fan bases, and they are vociferous fans. They were trying to tie everything together because, well, I've kind of fallen off when it comes to following Jirard. He apparently made the video after the Nintendo eShop was going to be going down. It was going to be taken offline, so all of those games that were exclusively on there would end up being lost at time. So he bought every single game that's on there. He completed the Nintendo eShop store on the Wii U, which is a console that you likely forgot ever existed, and the 3DS. So he bought everything that's on there. It's part of his brand, and of course that ended up costing, what, somewhere in the realm, depending on taxes and all that stuff, $25,000. We'll just go ahead right there, but that's $25,000. You got $600,000 in the bank. You could trace that back if he ended up taking any of this stuff. And why would he deliberately make a video like that knowing that he's funding it from charity money? Okay, his name's Jirard. It's not fucking DSP, for Christ's sakes. He's not that stupid. But not everyone was immediately critical of Khalil, the user X, claiming to be a non-profit accountant, explaining why it might have taken so long for Khalil to choose a dementia charity to donate the money to. Lil Wooly, okay, this whole situation regarding Jirard the Completionist and Indie Land seems a bit overblown to me, and I want to give some ordinary gamers and Karl Jobst a bit of my opinion on the matter as an accountant for a non-profit. You can read through all that shit if you want to, but I'll just go ahead and summarize it that, yeah, there's a lot of legal red tape when it comes to dealing with charities and finding those proper foundations to fund. But as the days went on and a couple more videos from ordinary gamers and Karl Jobst came out, there were other events that didn't have proper accounting alongside it, okay? Most of it, except for a couple of years in 2020, in benefit of the Open Hands charity, Jirard and his family would put on a golf tournament, okay? Several times over, claiming that it made in on and around $60,000. But there was no accounting that any of that money, any of that $60,000 made it back to the account, to the $600,000. So it's like a lot of people were going, oh, see, he's skimming off the top from that one. And it's like, well, okay, at the same time, okay, depending on the cash and prizes of that event, booking a course isn't inexpensive. Everything else that's over there, that might have actually ended up being like the $60,000 that they raised, okay, on a couple of different occasions. That might have ended up covering barely the tournament, okay, and the event itself might have ended up being a loss. It might have ended up being in the red, and it was simply being used as marketing purposes, okay? Like there's ways that you can explain this, because everything else is being tallied and totaled up. Like, why would he do, again, it's just a simple logic leap. Why would he do something that's so public, advertise all this stuff, only for it to simply be a bait and switch for him to secure the bag and run off? Like $600,000 to you and me is a lot of cash. I'm not going to go ahead and diminish that, okay? That's likely to pay off your house, pay off several homes, or at least be a damn good down payment on that. But it's not something that you'd go ahead and blow up a multi-million sub channel, an entire brand like that one, Video Gamer. Hell, there were a bunch of different channels at any given time under that umbrella. The Completionist himself is so much more than just one YouTube channel. Like, over the course of his career, he's probably done a lot better for himself than just a simple $600,000 bag. So not a lot of this stuff was ending up making sense. And then, like I said, at the end of last week, thought it was all done and dusted. And there were some videos that were coming out from Jobst and Mutahar saying that, yeah, okay, it looks like, yeah, he ended up paying everything off. Everything's great, fantastic. And we're going to call off our dogs. We can all just move along. And I just thought, cool, great, fantastic. And well, throughout all this time, we've been talking about everybody else speculating about this situation, but what has Jirard said about this? Well, he came out and, well, over the weekend, now he's threatening to sue everybody. Oh, Jirard. Oh boy, this is not going to be ending anytime soon. Completionist threatens legal action against Karl Jobst and some ordinary gamers. Okay, the Completionist responded to both Karl Jobst and some ordinary gamers, two YouTubers that worked together to call out his charity, the Open Hand Foundation, for fraud. Jirard, the Completionist, claimed that he did nothing legally wrong and threatened to illegal action against the content creators. Almost a month of silence on the matter, Jirard, the Completionist, put together a video addressing allegations made by both Karl Jobst and some ordinary gamers in regards to the charity foundation he's a part of. He's claimed that he's just simply on the board. Didn't know all that. Didn't know all of the background of the stuff like that. This is the first he knew about it. Like it said in the previous article there, didn't know anything about this until 2021, and we've been working diligently in order to disperse said funds. Jirard spent 18 minutes breaking down the creator's biggest concerns with how the charity donations were carried out, admitted fault with how long he held onto funds before donating them, and has ultimately stepped down from his position within the Open Hand Foundation. However, Jirard also believes that these videos were made with selfish intent. It's kind of what I was thinking to begin with, okay, because those guys are just kind of known for trying to take scalps, justifiably or unjustifiably so. And that he's speaking with his legal team in regards of taking action against the creators. Yeah, because, okay, even if he didn't do anything wrong, the initial videos made it really seem like Jirard was a scammer. Jirard was a fraud. He was running a big charity racket in order to benefit him. That, it'd be tough to prove, but you could make the accusations. And that right there was fairly defamatory. Those were some slanderous claims. He would theoretically have some legal claims, because this is going to be one of those things where it's going to end up carrying a stench on him for a very long time. And no, I'm not just referring to, what's living or not living inside of his beard anymore. The Completionist responded to allegations from both of the parties. I don't want to say all that shit again. In his response video showing clips from both creators, followed by directly shutting down their claims against him and explaining how the way tax filings revolving around the foundation worked. And though Jirard admitted fault in some areas, he claims that nothing he did was legally wrong, the best kind of wrong, and that the circumstances surrounding the case have gotten out of of hand. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, why are you going after him? Okay, like it really didn't seem like that, or it really didn't seem to be founded in anything. It just kind of seemed like, okay, cool. Oh, he's got money in an account. Okay, somebody tipped off Mutahar and Karl Jobst, and then they did a little digging, finding out that he's got a bunch of money. Hasn't stolen it. Hasn't distributed it either. They were asking questions, and in order to be maybe a little bit more salacious, decided to make some claims without properly thinking everything through. This video goes over several of these points. Okay, yeah, feel free to watch it right there. Again, shows the articles that I did so that you could go ahead and get the requisite source material if you're so inclined. However, the biggest point of Jirard's breakdown is as follows. The foundation is actually not legally required to distribute a minimum of 5% a year in charitable donations because, once again, the Open Hand Foundation is a public charity. This means that the $600,000 that was donated did not incur any fees or is subject to any tax penalties. So yeah, it was just sitting right there, and it has every protection and provision to do as much. He continued to insinuate that the money was missing, that the money was missing, that the penalties were to be applied, and that my family and I had to float the missing funds is just not true. Also, none of the money in the Open Hand Foundation has ever funded any of my projects for my company. Yeah, that makes sense. Jirard was adamant that he had never touched the money despite not directly donating it at the time, though it's worth noting the Open Hand Foundation since donated $600,000 on November 29th, as it noted in a follow-up video from some ordinary gamers himself. I've referenced that one a little bit earlier. And okay, yeah, the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration, the charity that the money was donated to. Okay, yeah, a press release from them ended up corroborating Mutahar's claims that the donation occurred, not any of the other ones. The Completionist concluded with strong words, both Jobst and Mutahar, saying that we are fraudsters, that what we are doing is illegal and constitutes charity fraud, that we are using my dead mother's name to potentially embezzle money and steal is categorically false. I should have been more transparent about the money not being donated, and that's on me. But my family and I have never done anything illegal. Not before then, and not since. And, as mentioned previously, we have correspondence with the FBI. No, sorry, they're going to be knocking on somebody's door in the very near future, but the IRS to prove that. So, yeah, that was my problem with all of this stuff to begin with. And it's like, if you're going to allege charity fraud, that's one of those things, man, where you can, if there's a whole bunch of shell companies that are going to be at play, then yeah, okay, you could start to, kink your head in a Hunter Biden-related fashion and start to really wonder, okay, where's all this stuff going? But if it is just simply sitting there, kind of seems like a non-starter. You can ask questions about, why haven't you distributed it? Said you were going to, but to make any allegations over the top of that, you better fucking come correct. However, it doesn't seem that Jirard plans to take these allegations lying down. He is in serious conversations to take legal action against, the accusers in this situation. These allegations were made by individuals who, self-admittedly, aren't even financial or legal professionals. These allegations are slanderous, and we believe we're done with selfish intent. They have directly jeopardized the safety of me, my staff, and my family. Not so much in the fact that, anything, violent could happen towards them in a safety sense, but could end up taking down their company. Okay, like those are very serious accusations that you're leveling right there. But those videos that are made by Jobst and Mutahar, probably not quite as coached as this one by Jirard was, I would imagine, because he had been silent throughout all of this stuff. When the story first broke in early November, he hadn't posted a goddamn thing until this video right here. So he's been in close communications with his legal team, just going, you shut the fuck up, you continue to play your games, you can go ahead and cut videos in the background, but as it sits right now, okay, you just shut the fuck up until we can get to an amicable resolution on this stuff, and then you can finally make your statement on this. Okay, he then called out both Jobst and Mutahar for making these allegations in the first place and claimed that he isn't afraid of scrutiny from the IRS, which is one of the most thorough agencies in all of federal government, as I think we all know. Due to the overwhelming amount of people who have been instructed to file complaints to the IRS and the Department of Justice, holy fuck, man. We understand an audit may be coming. We welcome it. Our legal and financial teams have assured us we have done nothing criminally wrong or illegal. He also feels that content creators should be held accountable for allegations of this kind. Yeah, I'm not even just talking about this situation right here, because there is so much slander. Okay, it's just like the fucking Me Too shit that's out there. A bitch will just go ahead and lie on a dude's name and end up costing him his fucking career. This is really not much different if we're gonna call balls and strikes on this stuff. And this is not just me, because I was once a fan of the Completionist. Okay. So you can go ahead and, check any biases at the door. I'm just simply calling balls and strikes. I recognize and take accountability for all of my actions. At the same time, I am not going to let my reputation be compromised in allegations that were not true. I own up to this, or to my part in this, sorry. But I will not be painted as someone who is a con artist and embezzler. I won't be someone whose name gets tarnished without putting up a fight. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. And there's some clips that are making the rounds all over Twitter or X, however the hell you want to refer to it as in this day and age. Of I seen one specifically where it's, oh my god, yeah, Jirard says that at this point in this timestamp of this one charity stream that all the bits, all the subs, all the donations are going to be going towards the charity, and that we're not going to touch them at all. And then in his response video, it says, oh, maybe some of the bits and subscriptions were being used in order to take care of some of the administrative costs that are off the top, still going towards the charity. And then of course, that's all done with some fucking accounting when shit's all said and done. And yeah, who knows, maybe even just floated the balance off the top, because there's sometimes that people that run charity streams or impromptu charity streams, especially on YouTube, because the cut when it comes to super cuts or donation or super chats or donations or anything like that in a specific YouTube context, you get 30% off the top. I think Rumble takes 20, and other places the rates fluctuate depending on where you go, but some creators will just go ahead and whatever's donated. If somebody donates $10 instead of donating $7 towards the cause, the creator will just go ahead and donate 10, end up eating the 30%. Don't know if Jirard does that. Don't know if he is doing that, but he apparently has the receipts, and all the opposition has right now, unless they do a full and total capitulation, a full mea culpa, looks like we'll probably be seeing those receipts in the somewhat near future. So yeah, I know I'm going to be following along on this one, because I'm kind of ambivalent. The little bit of information, I don't know who Karl Jobst is. The name looks vaguely familiar, but I've never consumed any of his content, at least to my understanding, at least in the context of willingly clicking on a Karl Jobst video with the expressed intent of watching a Karl Jobst video. Okay, there you go. And then some ordinary gamers, I've only ever heard about him tertiarily through consuming, I guess it would be Mahler. It's about the only way in his, somewhat of a relationship in covering some of the React content shit that was going on at the time over this, the summer of 2023. And then somewhat recently when Mahler stitched together a big clip of Boogie 2988's, fall off documentary, and then Mutahar had a, impromptu conversation with Boogie, and it was stitched in there. So I've never watched Some Ordinary Gamers or anything like that, but my opinion of him is just somebody who's trying to moral police the internet in a way that he seems fit. So I don't know. It's not somebody that I'd necessarily support. Probably the person, I think you guys could figure this out. The one person that if I had to root for anybody in this, it would be the Completionist. But as with anything in life, I'm just going to go ahead and side with the person who's right at the end of the day, the person who's telling the truth at the end of the day, the person who is on the side of the law. That's where I'm always going to be in this one. And that's where I'm going to be as this story progresses. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.